That's the good stuff.
Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Yes, it's Shark Week here on Goodwill Podcasting with Connor, Dan, and Stone. Yes, in celebration of the holiday done by the Discovery Channel every single year, we are talking about some of our most popular films in the unique monster genre that is the shark genre. We're going to be talking about Jaws, Deep Blue Sea, The Shallows, and Netflix surprisingly big hit Under Paris. A lot of views that the streaming service got for that one. And it's just going to be the three of us today. We're not going to have a guest, but you know what? It's because we don't need a guest. Usually we try to invite somebody on who we think has specific knowledge about what we're talking about, but we have that here. Our own Connor, our movie shark. And he's going to talk to us about the films and how accurate they are, considering what he knows and the much knowledge that he knows about sharks. But before we get into that, I want to ask you guys, we haven't talked about this yet. How was your 4th of July? Did you get bitten by any sharks? Because I heard that was common during the holiday season.
Yeah, my legs are actually both gone right now, so.
You weren't in Texas, were you?
No, thank God.
No, Connor. Did you read into that, Connor? What happened? Was it just the I was doing some research before this. Sharks are just curious. They want to take a little nibbles here and there, correct?
Well, yeah, and I mean it's something we'll talk about too when we get to Deep Blue Sea, but because they make a very important comment in that movie that we're not on their menu, but it's basically the same way that we would pick up something with our hands that we don't know about and look at it. They don't know what something is, and it might be food, so they'll take like a bite to be curious, but we don't taste good to them, and we don't have enough fat on our bodies for us to enjoy or like actually be a good meal for them.
I think out of the three of us, I would probably be the best meal for them. So good thing I don't like the ocean, though. I honestly am scared of sharks because of Jaws, and we shouldn't be because they're friendly animals. I know that, but yeah.
Sharks only bite you if you touch their private parts.
Well, I keep my hands to myself as much as possible.
Name that movie reference.
I didn't get the movie reference. Sorry.
That's from 50 First Dates.
Oh.
Damn.
What did you guys do for 4th of July? Dan, I know you were traveling.
I was in Jersey, in Seattle, just down the beach. So
you should have texted me. Would have come and seen you.
In Seattle?
Yeah, I would have.
So far. Seattle's like so close to Philly. Like, it's literally an hour drive, like on the AC Expressway. It's really nice.
Connor, what'd you do? Did you have a glizzy?
I did. I had a few. No, there's a park pretty close to my house that does like a big fireworks show every year. And then my wife's boss, his backyard runs right into the park. And then one of our longtime like childhood friends, his parents' house, their backyard runs right into the park. So we kind of stopped at both parties and just hung out.
Nice. Have you guys ever been almost hurt by fireworks during 4th of July, like ever in your lives? Like I got very seriously hurt one time. I was at this huge this very rich friend of mine had a lot of land on their property, and they had all these ditches, I remember, and they had Roman candles, and one of the Roman candles tipped over, and we were purposely in these little ditches to hide from the fireworks, but then this Roman candle like shot directly into the ditch, and because it was the way it was shaped, it purposely kept the firework in there with us. And I remember covering my eyes, looking up, and all I just saw was bright lights just flashing above my head. And luckily, I'm still here with you guys to do this pod. But
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm kind of an idiot. So one time, I was really drunk for 4th of July while in the Marine Corps, and we had the bright idea that our camis that we wear are flame retardant. So we decided to play dodgeball with Roman candles.
Okay, how'd that go?
I didn't get hit, so
nice.
I'm good.
Anybody get hurt?
Sounds like you won.
Yeah, so don't take after me for whoever's listening.
Yeah, growing up across the street, one guy was a cop, but he every like June would drive to Ohio. He had like a connection there, and Class B fireworks were like legal or something. He could get them there. So he would buy like literally thousands of dollars of fireworks for the neighborhood and bring them back. and then we would like after the fireworks in my town, we would like do our own fireworks show with like legit mortars, like actual fireworks. And like the cops and like fire department were there every single year. It was a whole thing, but sometimes they would let it be. We had a lot of fun, so. But I was always safe.
I
Be
know I'm
careful.
about to like work in the hospital again. I kind of want to work in the ER just one 4th of July just to really see how crazy it is. Like, it'd be cool to see fingers blown off. I know not for a lot of people it would be, but I just find it really interesting with really extreme injuries. Like, wow, what do
Dude,
you do? What do you do in
people
an
are
arm?
so dumb. I saw some guy just like this is awful, but some guy had like a mortar. He had like a big 4th of July hat on, and he put like a mortar on top of it, and just blew his head off, and he's just gone. He's just gone. But like, what are you doing? Like, I'm sorry, but like, Darwin talked about this stuff.
Hasn't he ever
I
heard
don't
of
get
back
it.
it up, Terry?
What'd you say?
I said, hasn't he ever heard of the back it up, Terry?
Yeah, I just don't know what's going through his mind. But rest in peace.
For the first time ever, I went to a baseball game on the 4th of July. I went to, right next to me is the AA team for the Yankees, which is the Somerset Patriots. They were playing, I think, Phillies AA team. Do you know what their name is?
Reading fighting Phils. Yeah, fighting Phillies.
Yeah, I knew they were Philadelphia just because the last title of their like name was Phil's.
Yeah.
But that was fun. Had a foot long glizzy, good stuff. Hot dog. I'm not gonna act like a child. But what I didn't expect was that they had fireworks, but they started playing that song, and I don't know the name of it, but the one from Sandlot where it's like, I'm talking about miracle. You know that one? And I was like, I was sitting there, and I was like, oh Lord! And I'm watching these fireworks, and that song's playing. And I was like, shit, like I almost cried, but then all of a sudden they started playing Yankee Doodle Dandy afterwards, and it really ruined the mood I was in. But
That'll sober you up real quick.
yeah, that was really disappointing. Is
You
that they
need to go
started
catch a
playing
game in Boston and just listen to them, the whole crowd sing Sweet Caroline in the 7th inning.
Song's terrible.
Yeah, but it's good for the atmosphere there.
It is.
Well, it's fitting though that does Shark Week always take place on near the 4th of July? Like I mean,
Not
I just
always. I'm pretty
just
sure
see the
last year
connection
was
with
in
Jaws.
August.
Okay. It just so happened because I was like, obviously Jaws is the most famous shark movie, and that takes place on 4th of July, and here we are talking about Shark Week, and Shark Week's about to begin.
Yeah, which is funny enough. I'm actually, as the years go by, becoming less and less of a fan of Shark Week. Because
Why?
like if you look at like the lineup for all the because like Shark Week, they like air everything that has aired in like the past years, and like all the new stuff starts at like 6 p.m. Eastern, I think is the time. And it'll be like 3 new documentaries, and like almost all of them now are like Great White Serial Killer, like Shark Attack Beach, like which I like. It's what sells and it's what draws people in to watch it, but it's also like the most detrimental thing for sharks. Kind of like Jaws.
It was Jaws. I mean, we can get into that if you want to. Was Jaws like was that the movie that got you into sharks, Connor?
No, actually, I don't know. Jaws, I didn't watch until maybe senior year of high school, surprising enough. Like, it took me a long time to get around to it. I think the first shark movie I can remember watching in my life was Deep Blue Sea.
Very nice.
But no, easy. Every shark
I
movie
like Deep Blue
since this, though, has been chasing just how good Jaws is.
Have you ever seen like a 2-second? I think we had a little glitch there. Can you hear me, guys?
We can.
Yeah. You can go back.
Have you ever seen Open Water, Connor?
I have.
Is it solid? I know we're not talking about that today, but
I just rewatched it yesterday, actually, to get ready for this, and I am just not a fan. Like, they tried to do something different with, like, it's almost what I want to say found footage in Open Water. But it takes forever for them to actually get to the water. Like, when they finally got to the water, Stone, do you know what the movie's about?
No, but I've seen clips from it.
Okay, so just like a quick recap is this married couple, they're going on vacation and they're going to go scuba diving and the boat leaves them. And like once the boat leaves them in that movie, like I checked, there's only like 30 minutes left in the movie or something like that. There's also like aggressive like nudity in the beginning. Like my wife thought I was watching porn when she walked in the room. No joke. But the like my biggest issue with it is like the whole time the sharks that are like kind of surrounding them and hunting them in that movie kind of look like bull sharks and lemon sharks, which makes sense. Like bull shark is the shark that you should be scared of if you're scared of any shark. But then at the end, they like show this shark that they're like kind of dissecting, and their camera comes out of it, and it's a mako shark. So like completely different than what was hunting. There's just a lot of it that bothers me in that movie, and I was not a fan.
Interesting. I know today we're talking about Jaws is great white, Deep Blue Sea is Mako's, The Shallows is again a great white, and then
No.
Under Paris.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
The Shallows is a great white, and then Under Paris is a new species, but we'll get into that at the end of this episode. Please, guys, if you don't care about Under Paris, just wait till the end of the episode to hear me rant on it, because I texted the guys and I have a lot to say about that movie, but we're not into that yet. Jaws. I was on Twitter and it physically made me sick that I saw the top 10 blockbuster summer blockbuster list, and Jaws was not on that at all. And the number one comment was, "Where's Jaws?" Because this was the original summer blockbuster, just because the summer really wasn't a time that people went to the movies. It was more a time that people wanted to get outside and, not be in school anymore, enjoy, sunlight and ride bikes and shit like that. But then everybody was anticipating this movie, even though it was a shit show for Steven Spielberg and the making of it. But then I believe it had a $9 million budget and made close to $470 million. And that was the highest until his buddy, George Lucas, took it from him with Star Wars like 2 years after.
Yeah. What do you guys like? What do you guys feel about this movie in general? Like, how do you rate this? Like, do you think it's overrated, underrated? Like, how do you feel about it?
This is one of 7 movies I've given a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
So Connor, anybody listening, Connor likes this movie.
Yeah, quite a bit. Stone.
I think it's very interesting to me compared to all the other movies that we're talking about today. Maybe Under Paris, disgustingly, is a little bit like this, but I love how the movie is like 2 different films. Like you have 2 different parts. You have everything on the beach, and then almost like directly in the like an hour in, you have everything on the ocean. And I think both sequences in themselves are very good. They're very different, and I think that all the aspects of the film where they don't show the shark and it's just everybody, all the performances with everybody in the town are really, really well done. And everything when it comes to the 3 guys on the boat's really well done. And I just love, there's not a whole lot of movies like I feel like that are this big that are like this, that have this distinct of 2 different acts of a film.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting point. And I think, it's a little over half on land. I think, especially rewatching this, it's not my favorite Spielberg. I think it's a 4 out of 5 for me personally. I think it's very consistent. It's always enjoyable, but it's very straightforward. I think they do spend honestly a little bit too much time on the land. I think, the characters I want to spend time with are Quint, Brody, and Hooper. I really, really love all their time on the boat, and I think that time allows them to like, seeing their dynamics, seeing the bickering between Quint and Hooper. I really enjoy that. Seeing Brody kind of like absorbing all of this like information and also kind of like bravado and attitude from these other 2 guys that have like been through it, and he's so naive and so like in his own head and just like neurotic almost in a way, and a lot of that is I think from his wife. But he's so sheltered, and I just like seeing him kind of like evolve, and he has a really good arc here. But I just feel like and like Quinn is simply not in this movie enough. Like he's a great character. His death is a crazy scene. Like it's probably I think one of the best movie deaths of all time.
It's insane that this movie is rated PG.
Yes. Yes.
That is crazy.
Is it really?
I don't know how.
Yes, because PG-13, yeah, it's not rated R. I believe it was almost rated R, and then they took some scenes out, like maybe like a severed arm or something like that, and then that got it reduced to PG
Well,
rating. But
and they
PG
were originally
13
going to
wasn't as
show the
simple to do. What'd you
and
say?
they were originally going to show the kid getting eaten by a shark,
Yeah, I did.
which
I
was
did know
people
that.
were
It
like,
was a
"Oh,
deleted scene, I believe.
yeah." But apparently that scene was like brutal.
Yeah, and also, so originally Hooper was supposed to die as well. Hooper was supposed to die in the cage. And basically what they were trying to do was they set up this elaborate rig where they had this like cage that could be destroyed and they put a dummy in it and they provoked a real shark to get it to attack the cage. But they couldn't get it to happen basically for a long time. So Spielberg was just like, whatever. Eventually, they did get a take of it, but the dummy wasn't in there. So Hooper, literally in the script up until the end, was supposed to die, but all they had footage wise was the shark destroying the cage without him. So he ended up living. He also was originally supposed to have an affair with Brody's wife,
I do know
but
that.
they wrote that out of the script.
That's a good choice.
There's some stuff in the book because this was a book, and they another thing is that the mayor was in ties with the mafia, and that was the reason why he didn't want to close everything down. Was they were telling him to like keep the town open, and Spielberg's like, no, that's kind of too dark. Let's just do it that he wants to keep the town open
It's
for
also
running
just, I think
again.
that's just dumb. Like, I think
Yeah,
it's believable enough that like it's a tourist town. It's I think greed was enough of a
yeah.
motivation. And I really enjoyed the tie between this and Under Paris with the mayor. Like, obviously, there's a direct inspiration there of that character. I think that's fun because he really is like pretty despicable, but also I think pretty believable. And like the conflict between him and Brody just kind of rolls over at the beginning. Like he just goes along with it, and it costs the kid his life. So I think Brody's
And you
definitely
see that,
not perfect.
yeah, and you see that guilt hit him when the kid's mom comes up to him, was like, "You knew there was a shark in the water."
Yeah,
Did you guys know that this was kind of inspired by a true story,
yeah.
more or less?
It's like two combined, I think. It was like something in the 1909, something like that, like shark attacks
1916.
off of New York, Jersey. And
It
then
was
there was like this.
it's a bull shark in a river, right, Connor?
Yeah. Stone is also right. It's like kind of two stories combined. Both of them were bull sharks. So again, that should be the shark you're afraid of, if any. But yeah, basically, like you guys were saying, New Jersey, it was like a shark attack. And it was like the same shark killed 4 people and injured 1, all within like a 6-day time frame
Damn.
in 1916.
And bull sharks can swim in fresh water, correct? So that makes them even scarier.
They're the only ones that can do that.
And they sometimes pop up in Texas and stuff with attacks, like in rivers there too, I believe.
They've also been found in the Ohio River before. Like,
damn.
So, right under your and my nose, Dan.
Yeah, that's wild.
So Dan, they didn't. Maybe they originally had a dummy in the cage, but did you know the trick that they did for somebody in the cage as well? They actually did have a person in there. So they shot it with, I believe, real sharks, and they had somebody in the cage, but the sharks didn't necessarily match the size of Bruce. So what they did was they purposely had somebody that was super short get in the cage, which made the sharks look a lot larger than they were. They had somebody named Carl Rizzo who was 4'11" be in the cages. That way the sharks would look bigger. And then the time where they're actually attacking, they couldn't, like you said, they couldn't get the sharks to attack until one of them actually got tangled up in the actual cage itself, which makes it look like the shark is attacking. And that was like the perfect kind of image and disruption that they needed in order to get the point of cross of what they were trying to get. Which is funny. Right before this, though, Connor, even though we have you as the movie shark expert, I was watching this clip on YouTube of, it was some magazine that had a shark expert on, and she was like judging a bunch of scenes from different films and if it was realistic of what sharks were. It was funny. The very first one she's watching is Jaws, and she's like, "Wow, I have to applaud them though. Like they have like I think it's 5 gill slits they have." She's like, "I have to applaud them. Like Bruce looks really good. There's 5 here, and the shark actually at this moment looks really good." And it was the scene that she was looking at was the scene of the actual real sharks that they used. And it kind of frustrated me that I feel like they didn't tell her or she didn't know, or the people who even showed this clip didn't know that this wasn't the fake shark. But yeah, there's actually footage of real sharks in this movie.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I made a note. I think that they actually did have 5 slits. like 5
Yeah.
gill slits on the fake shark.
Yeah. But I was saying, like, I found this, the image that she was looking at though was the real shark. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they got that right. I was like, it's because it's actually a breathing animal.
Okay. Out of all the movies so I took a few notes on accuracies. Out of the movies we're talking about today, this one has the most accurate shark for size and weight. I'd probably say The Shallows is second, just because they didn't really talk about the size and weight of it, but it looked like the actual size of a great white. One of the other things I really enjoyed about this movie is when they're showing the different scars that they have. Quint shows like a kind of a long one on his leg, and he says it's from a thresher shark, which is just like a wild looking shark. They're also super cute, and it has a super long tail, and how it hunts is it like swims really fast and then whips its prey with its tail, and then just has an easy meal.
Yeah, and I also just like this with this and The Shallows. The shark looks so good, but it's also like it's just massive, and I feel like it doesn't feel like ridiculously fast or sometimes I think it's almost comical the way it looks like they move, but I feel like this thing is just like lumbering and like brutal and just like so powerful, and I feel like they convey that really well. And in the end, when it just like flops up onto the boat, and you really see like just how big it is, and it's just like the eyes rolling back, like that's such a good shot. There's a few really good shots, like when the one guy that almost dies on the dock, and his buddy like pulls him out, and the shark goes by, and you get that like shot from above. That's like it's like holy shit, it's massive. I just feel like Jaws does a great job of like all the scaling work's really important in these movies. I think like to make things look properly scaled, and I think that's what it really nails. And The Shallows as well. I like it there, but we're just talking about this for now.
When you were talking about the tattoo, Connor, it made me think of what you said, Dan, about them being on the boat and the fact that Brody is just so not doesn't have any sea legs because he was scared of the water, and the other two are like, obviously have a much more experience, but that all three of the guys really don't know each other that well. And the tattoo scene is one of the most important scenes because it's really cool how they visually can represent them getting together. It's Quint and Hooper are sitting at the table, but they're far apart. And then Brody, feeling like he's distant from the guys, is actually standing up, like in the corner of the room. But as that scene progresses and they tell stories and they get to know each other and have good laughs, the very end of it is all three of them sitting together at the table singing a song together. It's a very like it basically without telling you shows you that the guys are becoming more friends than they were or closer friends than they were.
Yeah, I also just think the Indianapolis scene, like I think it's probably the best scene in the movie, and I mean that's probably the most substantial shark attack in history or recorded shark attack. And that's a story that just like I don't really understand. The only movie I think that deals with that is a Nick Cage movie called USS Indianapolis Men of Courage. It's fucking bad. Like bottom. Like I love Nick. It's fucking awful. But just like how horrible that was. Those were in the water for 4 days. Like 4 days until they were rescued. And I think, did I just freeze?
No, you're good.
Okay. I think like 300 of them survived out of 1,200, and only 300 died when it first sank. So 600 people died in the water there, and hundreds of those were to sharks. And just like imagining how awful that was, but also coupled with like how important their mission was. Like they delivered parts of the bomb, and it was like a secret mission. So, but they sat in the water for 4 days, and I just can't imagine how awful that was. But I like that they brought that into this movie. I feel like it adds a layer of like authenticity and also just like really deep sadness to Quint that works. Yeah, and also makes it almost like a revenge story for him. Like it's him getting revenge for like everyone else that was there. So
I said I was going to ask you guys what your favorite scene is. It's probably that, right? That's my favorite scene.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's an all-time speech in movies.
It's probably that one in the opening scene with a girl. I just feel like that's really well handled. And something I found out was that how they got her to look so terrified. I didn't know this, but probably probably a lot of people do, but is the fact that what they did, I believe, is they had ropes attached to her, and they were on the shore, and they wouldn't give her any warning as to when they were going to pull her. So they would pull her with these ropes, and that's what makes her look like she's actually getting tugged. But the fact that she also looks terrified because she doesn't necessarily know when it's coming.
Sam.
Yeah, it's just a cool little movie trick. Just simple stuff like that. It's just a good idea, you know.
There's just a PSA to all our listeners: don't swim at night. Sharks are nocturnal hunters.
Yeah.
I'm bad at swimming. You guys, if I die tomorrow, it will not be by a shark attack. I will never die by a shark attack. You guys, just so you know.
Look, you're more likely to die by a vending machine falling on you, a coconut hitting you, like a cow.
Yeah.
I have one downstairs that's got honey buns and big Texas cinnamon rolls. I've gotten a Cliff Bar here or there and some Pop Tarts. So, like I said, I feel like I'm going to be the most sufficient for a shark's appetite rather than you two. But also, I might die from a vending machine.
The trade-off.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but in this movie, there's like 4 different scenes where in the background there's a shooting star. And then you can also see it in a few other of Spielberg's movies. Did you guys ever notice that?
I did notice. I didn't know that was a thing in his movies, but I did notice the shooting star.
Yeah. A bunch of people have like fan theories. Like there's like a whole group of people out there actually that believe that he has caught UFOs on camera. No, really, Spielberg has spoke on this. It's just he remembers seeing shooting stars as a kid and he thinks they're a sign of good luck.
Well, it's kind of cool that you say that because his next movie is a UFO movie. So I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe he'll tell the truth.
Just has real aliens in his movie. I would say a couple things critique wise. There's some of the dialogue is like so goofy, and even at the beginning, like after that attack, the cops talking to the boyfriend, and he's just like, "Oh, she drowned." Like he's literally he just doesn't care at all. He's just like, "I don't know, guess she drowned." Like, and I was like, "Oh, all right, well." He's really broken up about it, but there definitely is like a certain layer of hokiness to it at points that I think like throws it off a little bit.
There's definitely a scene that you just reminded me of where like they first get a shark and it's a tiger shark and they think that's the shark. And I swear to God, it's like Spielberg's uncle or nephew or someone in the movie because they like make a comment about how it's probably not the shark. And this dude just turns around and goes, "What?"
I love that. Well, what they did, I know a lot of the people that they used in the movies were people
they're just
in
people.
the area. They're actually like fishermen. Like there's a scene where all these guys are going out on a boat, on boats together to try to track down the sharks. And I can't remember what they say, but the guy who's like leading the brigade is actually a real fisherman from the town. I believe they shot this in Massachusetts, where they shot this film at. And that's who the guy who's leading those boats, who's speaking, is who Robert Shaw based the character of Quint off of. Was literally that guy and his mannerisms.
Huh.
And he's actually in the movie.
Also,
So
fun fact.
yeah, that's why all the people are kooky. Sorry, is that they're really fishermen.
I mean, that's a good fact though.
Yeah.
One other fun fact about this movie too is there's when they are dissecting that tiger shark, a license plate comes out when Robert Shaw is dissecting and he throws it. Same license plate as in Deep Blue Sea.
Damn.
Like just the same one.
State and numbers.
Okay.
But the one that Carter
not the same actual license though.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. I was like, did they get the prop and then like put it back in the shark?
That would be funny. But yeah, no, same state and numbers and everything, which is also funny because that's also a tiger shark in Deep Blue Sea.
Damn. Other I mean, I probably like the darkest thing associated with the movie was do you guys know about like the Lady in the Dunes murder?
No.
So basically, this woman was named Ruth Terry. A couple months before Jaws came out, they found her body on the beach, like right by where they were shooting. In 2015, Stephen King's son started putting together this theory. Basically, he's a writer. Started putting together this theory about how he thought that she was an extra, and he even picked out like the scene that she was in. I think it was one of the ones at like Martha's Vineyard, but he found a lady in the background and he tied it to this woman that they found that they never identified. And then in 2022, the FBI finally identified who she was and got her name. But she was like a Jane Doe from 1974 till 2022. But a lot of people think she was actually just in one of the people you're talking about that was just like pulled into the movie. So it's sad that they've never actually figured out if that's the case, but it was always a big thing, and it was Stephen King's son, that Joe Hill, put it together in the first place.
So they just think like she died during shooting the film, or it's just somebody randomly in the movie that died, or
So they don't know. I mean, they don't know exactly. They don't even know like what happened to her. I mean, her death was like allegedly like awful, but some people think it was like somehow tied to the production, and just the fact that she was in it too. It was like one of the last times she would like was seen. So just a not so fun fact.
I'll say this movie. I think that this is what I want to talk about with all these movies that we're talking about today. Whether they're serious, meant to be taken seriously, or if they're goofy. Okay. And I think that Jaws is definitely a movie that's trying to be somewhat realistic, right? Sharks don't do this, but they take everything that happens in this movie pretty seriously, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That's gonna come up on our last movie because that's one of my biggest issues with our last movie. But I think that's good because our next film is very much in the goofy category, I would say, and not supposed to be taken that seriously. And I really love it for that.
Yeah, I would say with Jaws, like one of the things that kind of along the lines is, I think it's like I think one of the flaws of Jaws is that I don't think it quite nails taking itself like being serious. Like I feel like the tone is not quite right, and might be a crazy take. I think it's the score. Like I don't think John Williams' score works in a lot of different places. And when Williams first showed Spielberg the score, Spielberg laughed at him, and he said, "No, like where's the score actually though? This is not it." So I feel like I agree with Spielberg's first reaction. I think it's too light and too light. I mean, it's too similar to a lot of other John Williams stuff in movies like E.T. Like it doesn't. It's not the tone that should be in this movie. And it bothers me. Obviously, there's an iconic segment, but I don't like a lot of it. I don't think it fits the tone of the movie. But that's just me.
I get what you're saying about that. He did. I said I know this was nominated for 4 Oscars, and it won 3 out of the 4 of them. It won for score, editing, and then also something else. I really dropped the ball on that one. But it wasn't nominated for Best Picture too, and Best Picture was the only one that it didn't win. But yeah, I get what you're meaning though. I feel like John's scores usually do have like some, in a way, peppiness to them, like really exciting in a way. I don't know, and I get this is way more serious than any of the other stuff he's really done. Even Jurassic Park is more of a fun blockbuster movie than I feel like this is. And honestly, that score I feel like is a little bit less popcorny than this one.
Yes.
Like it's just it's string instruments basically. I get what you're meaning by that.
Yeah, so that's really the only place that it hangs up for me. That and just I want more time with 3 of them, more time. But definitely a great movie.
Do you think we'll ever have a movie that like impacts a generation quite like this one did, though?
Yes. I mean, what do you mean by impacts a generation?
I mean, like if you ask anyone who saw this at the time, whether it was in theaters or on VHS, like they'll tell you, like my parents still tell me about how like they were scared to go in a swimming pool for a while after this movie came out. Like I'm talking like that big of like a public like fear or like just kind of reaction.
The first one that comes to mind for me is probably the Blair Witch Project. I guarantee you a lot of people probably did not go into woods after that movie came out. They probably, I mean, everyone was talking about that movie and everyone thought that it was true and real. So I think the same thing with the water. That's the number one thing is probably like, I bet there's a lot of people who stayed indoors after they saw that film for the first time.
Yeah, but I mean, I do really agree with you, Connor, in that like this turns into like a subconscious fear that like affects maybe like your like small decisions you make when you're around. Like it is impactful, and it led to so many spin-offs and so many imitations. Like it created a genre. So it is interesting to think about when you like think about impactful movies. Like there is an argument here that it's one of the most impactful ever made, just in a like unique kind of way.
I would say it does seem like people like I can't remember the last time we got a big budget shark movie in theaters. With the reception that Under Paris has gotten, I feel like maybe some studios should try to make one with a lot of money attached to it. You know?
I think the last one was probably The Shallows. Was probably like the big shark theater release.
Jeez, that came out in like 2013 too. I think.
16.
No, 16. Okay, I should know. We're about to talk about it.
I only remember because I drove to the movie theater, and that was the year I got my license.
Nice.
Do you guys want to dive into that?
Yeah, I
Deep
think
Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea. Yeah, Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
So this is what made you fall in love with sharks. What is it? Was it when they chucked Stellan Skarsgård into the glass? Is that what did it for you?
I wouldn't say this is what made me fall in love with sharks. However, I do have a deep love for this movie. No, I don't know what it is about this movie. I did watch this at far too young of an age. I'll tell you that. So, like, one core memory for me, which is definitely when she electrocutes the shark at the end. But also for a long time growing up, my dream job came from this movie. I wanted to be a shark wrangler. So I found out that wasn't a real fucking thing.
Carter Blake, you want to be Carter Blake and like grab onto the fin and like dodge him.
Exactly. I can tell you how to tickle a shark if you want, Stone.
What'd you say?
I can tell you how to tickle a shark if you want.
How do you tickle a shark? I'm very curious. Next time I get up to one, I'll do it.
So maybe all of our audience hasn't heard. I know you two have. But sharks have a sixth sense, ampullae lorenzini, where basically they can detect the electromagnetic frequencies that every living being.
Say that word again.
Ampullae lorenzini.
Nice. Thank you.
And basically, so they have all these like receptors on their nose, and all you have to do is kind of go like that on their nose, and it tickles them.
Or you can just punch them in the nose, right?
Yeah, I mean that's like a way to get them away from you.
Yeah.
Actually,
if one's ever close enough to me, Connor, that I can tickle him, I'm going to be punching him. That's what
no, yeah, that's definitely fair. I know I'm the odd. However, the better way to get rid of a shark, which is shown in this movie, is actually hit it in the eye, which is what LL Cool J does with his necklace. He stabs the shark in the eye to get it kind of let him go, which is actually very smart for survival if you ever are in this situation.
I appreciate when we get to it, again, I'm speaking about it. I'm going to compare this movie a lot to Under Paris. But I love how dumb the plot of this movie is the fact that they're trying to cure Alzheimer's, which automatically reminds me of Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Just I think that Alzheimer's is here to stay. And if anybody tries to mess with it, we're going to have some type of smarter animal than we should. But then in doing so, they're like, what is the juice that they're extracting from the brain? Just brain juice, I guess. So there's
protein.
Protein.
Yeah, there's special protein in these sharks' brains that when they attach it or inject it next to or in Alzheimer's or dead brain cells, it like reactivates the neurons or something like that. But then they can't get enough of the brain juice, so they make the sharks' brains bigger. Which makes the sharks smarter. That is
that's what I love about it. Like it's a movie that I feel like was like never intended to be taken seriously and like knows that. And to me, I have this at 4 stars with Jaws. I like this just as much as Jaws. This movie is fucking hilarious and like it knows it, and the cast to me is so good. And I think we talked about Quint's death being like one of the best movie deaths of all time. Samuel L's death might be the funniest movie death ever.
It's the biggest surprise death ever. It has to be. It is so shocking.
And it's so funny. Like he's doing this, like the dumbest monologue, like inspiring them when they're clearly all gonna die. Like it's so stupid in the moment, and it's so good. I crack up every time. But I really like this movie a lot.
So what I did, I'm annoyed with myself because I was watching this movie. This was my first time watching it, which you guys know that, which other people probably won't know that. But then obviously this is a goofy movie, but there would be lines here and there where I'm like, what the hell? Why is that a line like that in this movie? In the same, like I wrote down two. One is during that Samuel Jackson speech. He says, "You think water is fast? You should see ice. It moves like it has a mind, like it knows it killed the world once and it got a taste for murder." And then preacher LL Cool J, this guy, he goes, Einstein's theory of relativity: grab hold of a hot pan a second can seem like an hour. Put your hands on a hot woman, and an hour can seem like a second. It's all relative. Good stuff. There's like two more lines like that I just loved. But yeah, the Samuel Jackson monologue. I think it's like that line just stuck out of me. He's like what Snow has a mind for murder and then it's killed the world. I'm like, good lord.
Yeah, and LL Cool J is so fucking funny in this. I love how he's just like in his own world, just like and just saves their ass randomly.
He also made history with this movie as the first black man to ever survive a horror movie.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
You didn't know
Wait,
that?
is that a real fact?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's absolutely wild. I feel like I'm struggling to believe that, but
Not a single other horror movie out of all the years.
Nope.
Really?
I mean, Dan's about to verify me.
we're hearing the keyboard go off. What are you Google searching right now?
I'm working on it.
I will say though, I know this, which is insane. Originally, Preacher was not supposed to survive as long as he did. Basically, they showed test audiences, the film, the very first draft of the film, and everyone hated Dr. Susan McAllister, I think is her name. They hated her so much, and I guess the original ending was her and Carter got together, and Preacher died like at the beginning of the film. But then they're like, no, we really like that guy, so they changed it to have Preacher survive at the end of the movie, and they killed Carter or Dr. Susan at the very end.
I
Which I think
actually
is perfect.
I like
Yeah,
the
I love it. I love it in the fact that I love how she's kind of trying to do a good thing, right? What she's doing isn't necessarily bad; it's how she does it, and what she does is something worse than she was. Like she's causing people to die in order to cure people. Like, okay, you're trying to do something good, but that doesn't mean that what you're, eliminate what's bad that you're doing.
her death
She
actually really
sucks.
bothers me. Yeah, she sucks the whole movie. However, her death bothers me because she's supposed to be like the lead scientist in this and knows all this about sharks. Sharks are attracted to the scent of blood. And a shark can smell one drop of blood from 3 miles away. She didn't need to jump into the water. She could have just thrown some debris into the water and it would have caused the shark to, because sharks are also attracted to splashing and this everything. And she could have just cut her hand open and dropped the blood into the water, and the shark would have still reacted because, like she says, it's still an animal, no matter how smart it is.
Yeah, and I feel like that's another thing that's just to me, that's almost like tongue in cheek because it's so fucking stupid that she just throws her entire body in the water. Like it's so funny and just dumb. And as soon as that happens, she's just dead. Plus, she's such a despicable character. I feel like you're almost cheering for her to go. But yeah, I mean, when LL Cool J first got attacked, it seems like he should have died from that. I'm pretty sure his femoral artery would just be severed and he's gone. But I was glad he survived.
And I love, he killed my bird or whatever. He eats the parrot. I love, one thing I loved is that even though the ship is drowning, LL Cool J never seems like he cares. He's just trying to he's just curious. He's just walking through the water.
He's so
just
unbothered.
Yes,
Unbothered.
very much so. He just happens on the other people and he's like, oh, hey guys. He's not looking for other people. He's just walking around the ship.
Which is funny because I feel like as a man of immense faith, that's almost fitting. He's just oh, well, might be my time. He just has faith. I don't know. It works.
Yeah. Stellan Skarsgård, though, was a very fun surprise. I did not know he was in this movie. And when I saw him, his death might be the most memorable to me, I would say. Because
I'll disagree.
Okay, yeah, you have Samuel Jackson. Very true, very true. But I love, probably his is second. I just love that the shark takes him and just chucks him into the hole. It's the funniest thing. It's so good.
Actually, I didn't even think of Samuel L. Jackson as like the one that sticks out to me the most. It's the blonde girl. I think what's her name? But when the shark like brings her up out of the water to like the ladder and Carter tries to catch her, that one's always really memorable to me.
I think I have a really interesting fact for you. So she was actually supposed to be pregnant in the movie. And what happened was they thought it was too dark because during that scene, if you watch closely, she gets bit between the legs. So the fact that that happened to her, which is supposed to make that death even worse than her just dying.
I mean, that would be problematic regardless of where she got bits, don't you?
Okay.
Doesn't really help the baby much.
But they're implicating the fact that like the child is dying. That's what they were trying to get by that angle. So they just eliminated that plot line altogether, but they leaved in, the way that she actually got bitten.
Was that Janice?
Yeah, Janice Higgins is her name.
Yeah. It's funny too, because like you mentioned Stellan Skarsgård. I don't know what you guys think of as the first movie when you hear his name, but this is what it is for me because of how many times I've watched this movie.
I mean, out of our podcast name, it's always Good Will Hunting for me.
That's fair.
Yeah. What year? Good Will Hunting was what year?
96.
Looking it up.
Wow, guys! Wow.
It was 97, so it was the same year as this, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's on.
Was Deep Blue Sea 97 as well?
99.
Guys, I love how prepared we are.
99. We're just making some jokes for the audience. We're good.
So Stellan had a great 2-year run there. I also just think something that's also very funny about this movie to me is like Michael Rappaport is like a fucking genius, and he's so fucking dumb in real life. It's like everything he says kills me because he just has all this like this Rolodex of knowledge, and he's like a genius. It something about that is so funny to me.
Who are you gonna trust? You're gonna trust me.
It's so good. Every single cast member is really, really crushing it here.
Good stuff. Yeah, I would say one scene that I really liked was it seemed because always in these movies, I feel like the one thing I look for is always when the shark is practical and when it's CGI. Obviously, there's a lot of CGI shark in this, but it fits the tone. But I will say the scene that stands out of being looking really good is when they do capture the shark at the very beginning. That looks like a real animatronic shark that's like flopping around. They're able to touch and everything like that. So I think that stands out the most to me when it comes to, I guess, production design. Like I really like that open area where they're observing the shark when they first get it.
Yeah, no, I like that scene a lot. And I think like for me, this movie just like fucking nails exactly what it wants to do. And like I love that so much. Like that's honestly, I feel like when I'm grading a movie, like that's one of the main things I take into consideration. Like, is this what it wanted to be? Does it achieve its goal, whatever that is? And I think it does, and that's why I like it so much. It's just like, it's so funny, man. It's so stupid, but it's so funny.
I just like the fact that the shark was the shark planning. Did the shark know that Skarsgård was attached to a rope that was attached to a helicopter, and it purposely was dragging the helicopter into the building to destroy it all?
I don't know. The sharks are smart as hell. It's so funny. Like they're literally like genius level sharks. I also was curious about the physics of that scene. Like, is that realistic for like could a shark cause a helicopter to have any kind of disturbance in that fashion? Like,
maybe a great white, maybe, and like it had to be like a small helicopter.
Yeah,
but even that, it's a big maybe. And I mean, maybe Colossus, who's like the most famous shark on Shark Week. But also, these are supposed to be mako sharks, and from how it looks, I would say longfin mako shark. The average longfin mako shark is 14 feet, and
well, they're also like on steroids, right? Like the one is fucking huge.
Yeah, but it also in this movie they say a 45-foot long shark that's only 8,000 pounds You realize how unproportionate 45 feet and 8,000 pounds would look on a shark?
It's a lean shark. Yeah. Also, one other thing I wanted to mention, the scene we just talked about with the helicopter is so goddamn funny because that helicopter hits the building and just like explosives go off all over the fucking base. Like the entire thing just explodes. Like in real life, helicopter would just like hit the wall and like crumble, and like that would be it. But literally, there's just like the most 90s fucking explosions everywhere, and it just kills me for no reason.
I'll say one thing I also love that you kind of forget about because it's just at the beginning, at the end. But the reason why there's no one there is because this is the night shift. And like everyone, the day shift gets there at the very end, and they're like, "Hey guys, what happened?"
What did you guys think about the name drop in this movie?
It's funny.
Do you remember
okay.
it, Stone?
Yes.
No.
So it's when the shark is like attacking the fencing at the very end, and Carter looks at Susan. He's like, "I guess that's what an 8,000-pound Mako thinks about the deep blue sea."
Oh yeah. That was pretty good. The title drop. Yeah.
I like it, and I think it was like it wasn't too corny.
Yeah, it fit. I was like, oh, okay. I feel like that's what I always do with the title drops. I didn't roll my eyes, so.
The guy
Yes.
said the thing.
Yeah,
Also,
solid
like one thing I made sure to note about that just bothers me about this movie every single time I watch it is the first 2 minutes of those like random teenagers partying on a boat, and then they spill their red wine into the ocean as if the shark is going to recognize that as blood.
I don't know if it was I think that is what they were going for because it attacked right after. I was like, oh, that's a cool like imagery, but then I think you're right though. I think they are insinuating that
because they show like the red trickling down through the water, and then all of a sudden the shark is there.
Oh man, I just have Under Paris burned in my mind. Something that reminds me of that film is the fact that when that is happening at the very beginning of this film, is that as soon as like that shark kind of like just bursts through the middle just a little bit, all four of those motherfuckers just fly off the boat. All of them, they're all gone. I'm like, what? That's such a over dramatized thing in these movies. Is just
It is, but
shit
it's
hits the
almost
fan,
realistic.
everyone's just falling everywhere.
It's almost realistic though.
I'm
Okay,
I don't know.
imagine all of us are on a boat with our spouses, right? And girlfriends, significant others. We're standing on the edge of the boat because it's getting hit from the bottom, and then all of a sudden something pops through. You're gonna get scared and lean back, and you're not exactly well balanced.
I would go to the back of the boat and I would grab onto something.
Well, yeah, but they weren't exactly that smart, and they stood on the very edge.
Well, yeah, maybe it's because they're drunk. I don't know.
You know what's funny? I was just gonna say really quick. Do you guys know what this guy directed this year?
No.
This motherfucker, Rennie Harlan, directed The Strangers Chapter 1.
I just looked at that.
He has made since this absolute poop just across the board, just complete trash. Every single thing he's been involved with. He did 4 episodes of Burn Notice, 1 of White Collar. Outside of that, he's made just awful movies, and it's so funny to me. The only other thing that was decent he directed was Die Hard 2, which he got like at the start of his career, which is odd. But after that, it's just been like a multitude of disasters. But he has 5 projects in the works, 2 of which are Strangers movies. He also has something.
Chapter 3, baby.
He also has something in post-production called Deep Water, which makes me wonder.
I've actually heard of that, I think.
If that's a shark movie. So allegedly this is coming out this year with Aaron Eckhart in it and Ben Kingsley. It says a group of international passengers en route from Los Angeles to Shanghai are forced to make an emergency landing in shark-infested waters. Now they must work together in hopes to overcome the frenzy of sharks drawn to the wreckage.
Sign me up.
Rennie's back. Another shark movie.
I'll be there.
Week Part 2. So, Connor, I appreciate you. Thank you for recommending this movie for us to watch because I hadn't watched it. I very much enjoyed my time with it.
I adore this movie. One thing though, like because there's a lot. You guys probably watched this and looked at more film. Since we're doing this episode, I watched all these movies for the first time, looking for accuracies with sharks. sharks do get tumors and there's been sharks that have been found with cancer, and in this movie they make a comment they're doing this research with sharks because sharks don't get tumors or cancer. I'd like to throw that out there.
But these might have been the big brain ones. Big brain ones don't get cancer. Just small brain.
But they said they started the research because of this.
I know.
The fact that they just in their brains get bigger and just get smarter is the funniest, literally the funniest thing. I can't not laugh when I think about that. But
Guys,
I thought they would just die. Like, I don't know. But
yeah. Guys, I recorded a 5-minute and 30-second long TikTok of this movie to hype up this podcast that I'll be posting tomorrow. But
I can't wait.
Get ready. Get ready.
I finished recording. I was like, Jesus.
So is this movie? I was surprised when I watched The Shallows before this movie, and I've watched The Shallows before. I just remember I was like, oh, I thought that was a pretty good movie. This movie's way better, in my opinion. I think The Shallows is solid, but I don't think it's better than Deep Blue Sea. And that's another one. Like I said, so we're trying to judge tone on these. This is another one that's trying to take very much seriously with its plot, very realistic in a way. It's Blake Lively. She plays a surfer, which I found out that about 50% of shark attacks are surfers. Is I believe like sharks think that like the underside of a board kind of looks like maybe prey in a way, or at least they're curious about it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Like a seal or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, she goes to this random location of this beach that they don't disclose the location of it. And basically she gets marooned on a rock after doesn't the shark the shark is this iconic picture of the shark in the wave and like clips her off the board and just like fucks her up, and then she gets stranded on a rock like the entire time. But what do you guys think about this movie? I have it at a 3 out of 5 is what I have it at. I think it's pretty decent.
Wait, Stone, when we were going into this, were you saying you think Deep Blue Sea is better than this?
Yes.
What'd you give Deep Blue Sea?
3.5.
Okay.
So I got Jaws at a 4.5, Deep Blue Sea at a 3.5, this at a 3, and then good old Under Paris at a half star.
Connor,
I
was gonna say what's yours?
I have Jaws at a 5, obviously. Deep Blue Sea at a 4, and this movie at a 2.5.
Damn. What about Under Paris?
1.5.
Shit.
Okay. So I have Jaws and Deep Blue Sea. I have this at a 3.5. I like this movie a lot, and I gave Under Paris 2.5 stars.
Fuck you! Damn it, man.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. I like this. I feel like this movie is not really talked about enough. I might talk about it tomorrow to get something out for the podcast, but I think it's really, really good. It's almost like a duel for an hour and a half. Like it's just like a one-on-one. And I think it can be a little ridiculous, but I feel like it feels like Blake Lively is very committed and dialed into this. I know she did a lot of work to prepare for it. I feel like that shows. It doesn't feel hokey for the majority of it, and that injury she gets under the bite on her leg is gnarly, and the stitching on that, all the stuff around that, and the way she is taking care of her wound, I really enjoyed. I think it's it added a level of authenticity. I don't know. I just feel like it's a really good solo performance that doesn't get talked about enough from her. It's really good, I think.
I think she's very much underutilized. She's not in a whole lot of movies. I think she's a very solid actor. I mean, my favorite movie probably from her is A Simple Favor with Anna Kendrick, which is, I know a lot of people really enjoy that movie. But yeah, I think she did a really solid job. I know she did a lot of her own stunts too. My issues with the film are just really at the beginning, is the fact that there's 2 major exposition dumps at the beginning. And it's her at the very beginning with the guy in the car. She's just spilling her entire life to this dude. And then there's a phone call with her and her father that she also FaceTimes and also spills a lot of information there. Besides that, my one big issue is that I think they did a really good job with obstacles, setting up different things that happen later on in the movie. I thought the whale was a great prop. I thought that was really cool, especially when she's reaching into it, kind of as rock, kind of looks like rock climbing, she's into the wounds trying to get on top of it. I thought that was really cool. and then the buoy at the end. But I think that I wish there was more of a way. It's hard because you create this premise where it's a girl alone on a rock by herself with a shark. I wish there was more of a way to be more entertaining with her as a character by herself than just talking to herself, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like there's so much about her character that I wanted to figure out and wanted her, I don't know, to be shown in the film. But you can't necessarily do that without her just necessarily talking to herself the entire time. It's mostly it's just her screaming to the beach a lot. She just screams to the beach a lot, and that's the majority of what happens in the middle of this film. Whether it's the drunk guys or the two other guys or something like that. So I thought the rock. Whenever she's not on the rock, it's really entertaining. But she's on the rock a lot.
Yeah, I just
So
feel like it's like the priority of the movie isn't like to know the character. Like the priority is like to just watch her survive. And it's just
Yeah,
about a
but
person like being tested in a variety of ways, and like the only focus for her is like managing her injuries and just like critical thinking her way out of the situation. I feel like there just isn't really time. I feel like it's I think it's pretty well paced. Like it's only 90 minutes.
yeah, that's
Um,
nice.
and I feel like it keeps things moving very well, and like you said, presenting new challenges. I just don't think, I don't know, I didn't need another like 15 minutes to like. I just liked how it was paced, how it was. I feel like it keeps it moving well.
So Stone made a comment when we first started talking about this about how sharks and surfers from underneath look pretty similar. Here's a graphic to give people a better idea.
That's the only reason why I'm not a surfer, or I would be.
Yeah,
You know, I have that skill in me. I'm never going to show it, and that's why.
and
But
that's a skill, right, Connor?
yeah, the seal was on the right, surfer was on the left.
I'll piece that together.
Proud of you. But one of my biggest gripes with this whole movie is like towards the end when she's like kind of close to the buoy and she's like, what is that, like 50 yards? I could swim there. If you ever for 1 second in your life think you can outswim a shark, especially a great white, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Great whites can swim 35 miles an hour.
It's very fast.
I will say the one thing that I fact checked. Is there any other thing that stuck out to you where you're like, I wonder if that's actually true? Is there anything that stuck out to you about this movie besides that? Not involving the sharks.
No,
Mine was I looked up, are there flare guns on buoys? There are not flare guns, I don't believe, attached to buoys. As much as I could research it, I was like, that's very convenient that there's just a random flare gun attached to that.
I feel like, as I guess it's a separate question for you guys. Like, do you guys watch these movies expecting any? Like, do you want realism? Like, I
Well,
don't
that's
want
the thing. That's the
realism
thing
in
I'm
this.
talking about. It's the story you present. Like, obviously, it's not real, but when you're presenting your story like that, then you have to create circumstances that are believable, in my
But there has
opinion.
to be, like, in real life, she just dies. So like, there has to be some kind of Deus Ex Machina.
That's not good writing.
Something.
Then you have to create something that's not real in order to finish your story about a whole. Everything in this film is kind of presented as realistic.
I
There's
think to make it
quotes.
entertaining and to make it commercially successful, which is their goal, you have to. It can't just be like, and then she died of starvation 6 days later, like, like, or she tried to swim for 10 seconds and the shark ate her, and the movie ends. Roll credits. Like,
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's a
nobody
huge
wants to see
negative.
that.
I'm not saying it's a huge negative. I'm saying that that was something I was curious about. I was like, oh, there's a flare gun on a buoy. Is that real? And I looked it up. I was like, oh, no.
Also, why is there a buoy so close to the beach on this like unknown beach spot?
That is true. I didn't think about that.
One thing I do like about this movie, though, too, and they actually address this in Deep Blue Sea, is sharks are unable to swim backwards. And in this scene, when the shark tries to attack her when the tide is kind of rising, and it like kind of jumps over the rock almost to get her, and there's all that, I think they call it fire coral or something like that makes it feel like a jellyfish sting. It doesn't swim backwards. It just thrashes back and forth until it like goes hard enough that it can throw itself over the other side of the rock. I think that was like very well done, and I'm happy someone on this crew did their research.
At one point of the story, I thought that she was going to pick that bird up and snap its neck and eat it. I'm not even joking. She picked it up And I was like, oh, because she ate a crab, and I thought she would maybe get hungry by then. I thought she was going to eat the bird. I'm not going to lie. That was stupid of me to think that, but I did. One thing I was curious about, though, that I think is kind of a plot hole is she makes a very big effort to try to get the GoPro. It's very pressing, and that she risks her life to get this GoPro. When she gets the GoPro, she watches footage that this guy's taken, and then all of a sudden, like, she thinks about the fact that she can record herself, and she leaves a message for her family, but it doesn't necessarily seem like that was her goal all along. So my question is why, like, it occurs to her while she's looking at the GoPro that I'm going to record myself. Why was she getting the GoPro in the first place? Just to see the shark, like a better angle of the shark? Like, why was that such a pressing issue for her?
You
I
needed
thought,
entertainment. You're just sitting there on a fucking rock waiting to die. Why not?
why not? Yeah, why not die quicker? Why not die sooner? Yeah, that
Another
was
comment I wanted to make too is like if you're in the water and you see a dead whale carcass, never swim up to it. Because one, it's either been being attacked by a shark, or two, it's just ran its course in life and it's dead. And whales build up like gas in them when they die and they will explode. And that can severely hurt you, if not kill you.
Yeah, I mean, she needed shelter, so I would have climbed on it too.
No,
To
she
be
swam
honest.
towards it because she was like, "What's that?" And then that's when
Well,
the shark
yeah.
and
Yeah, but yeah, solid movie besides that. Like this is like I said, like you said, Dan, I think the greatest thing about this is that it's 90 minutes. I think that it doesn't while I don't necessarily think that every second of it is entertaining, it kind of flies by really quickly, and I don't think it just wastes any time.
yeah,
Yeah.
when I watched this in 2016 in theaters, I remember walking out and I was like, that movie kind of sucked. And like,
Uh,
I never wanted to revisit it. And like, I'm happy you made me revisit it, which is actually, I'm thinking I'm going to start a new like TikTok like series, basically revisiting movies that are overall popular that I didn't enjoy. So probably going to start with Interstellar and Taxi Driver.
So what you have this lower rated than both of us. What is it that we haven't discussed so far that you don't necessarily love?
I don't know if there's a hot take, but I don't think Blake Lively is a good enough actor to lead this movie and be a solo lead in a movie.
Well, has been discussed. I said that she was a good actress, so you're
Well,
disagreeing.
I yeah
Which is okay. Which is okay. Like I
yeah
said, she's not in a whole lot of stuff, and that might be the reason why. Maybe she's busy. I know her and Ryan like have a family together, but like I said, she's not in a whole like The Simple Favor, and then
Age
she's
of
in
Adeline.
If the best movie of the year. So
Yeah, like Age of Adeline, The Green Lantern.
like, there's
The
nothing.
Town.
Oh, she was also in that movie that bombed really hard a couple years. Oh, 2020, The Rhythm Section.
She was in The
I,
Town too.
oh, she was in The
Oh yeah,
Town.
that might be
So
her best movie.
I mean, it's probably the best movie that she's been in. I believe that is the correct.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't think she's a strong enough actor to be in this type of movie. She might be able to like lead in something that has like a full cast and like she can bounce off other people.
Gossip
But
Girl.
which
She's a lead in Gossip Girl, I believe.
oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So, but again, like I've heard fairly good things about Gossip Girl in my time. But I just think a better actor would be,
Give me
elevate this.
Lindsay Lohan. I think Lindsay Lohan would be solid. I don't think she was acting at this time when this movie came out, but I think that's the first person that popped in my mind. I was like, you know what? I would love to see her in a shark movie.
Imagine this movie, but with Danny DeVito. That would be something.
Can you do impressions, Dan?
Maybe.
Can you do a Danny DeVito impression?
Not right now. Tell you that much.
You better prepare by next week's episode.
I can work on that.
I wish I could do impressions. That's like my only flaw I have is that I can't do.
Have you guys ever seen the? Do you guys watch Always Sunny or no?
No.
I've been told for years I should watch Always Sunny, and I do actually quote it though when I say I don't drink straight mixers.
Okay. I was gonna reference something, but just you should both start watching it. It's very funny.
If you reference it in Danny DeVito's voice, then I'll start watching it.
No. Not worth.
And this is why you'll never be remembered, Dan.
That's fine. I'm happy with anonymity. Any closing thoughts on Deep Blue Sea?
The Shallows.
And by Deep Blue Sea, I mean Shallows.
No, I think everyone should. I think it does a good job of not being like Jaws too, even though I think it has similar tones to Jaws. I think it kind of is a completely new story, new set of circumstances. Like you said, it's kind of just me against you kind of a thing. It's just this one shark and this one girl, always in the water, different than Jaws. I think it's a fairly entertaining movie. Like it's a solid movie.
Yeah. I feel like I like respect this shark. This shark is a dickhead. Like he is so dedicated. He's like, I'm gonna post up here and I'm gonna eat this person. They're not gonna get away. I don't care how long it takes, but I'm dedicated.
I actually don't think
shark.
that's too out of characteristic, merely for the fact that it had just eaten a whale, so there's blood in the water. Now she is constantly dripping blood into the water, so it knows there's injured prey right next to it. Like,
yeah. He's dedicated.
I will say, even though I wish there was some way to make it more entertaining with her on a rock, I think it was a very good decision to have the whole plot line where she was a med student, and the fact that she has an injury and she's talking herself through the injury while she's repairing herself in a way. I thought that was a very easy decision that I think was the correct one to make. Just it just makes the story that more engaging, and there's much more tension when you have someone who's actually going to try to fix their wound rather than someone's just going to bleed out, which I guess you would have a shorter movie if that was the case.
I don't know why I'm just thinking of this, but it kind of correlates with this movie almost. In Jaws, they make a comment that most shark attacks happen in 3 feet of water, 10 feet from the shore, which is an accurate stat. But like the thing is also, look at how many people are in the ocean that deep, then look at the percentage of people that are, 30 feet out, 50 feet out. Like,
That makes sense. Yeah, it's like a stupid stat.
yeah. It's like
It's
along the
saying
lines
most hamburgers are eaten in hamburger stores. Like,
yeah. Like,
thank you.
but like people throw that stat around all the time, and I'm like, just use half your brain and think about why that is.
A lot of people don't like to do that, Connor.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I was using my full brain, unfortunately, when I watched Under Paris.
That was a mistake.
Why? Why was it a mistake, Dan? Why is it at a 2.5? I have to know. What on God's name earth makes this a 2.5 movie for you?
So I liked the lead. I think she was pretty good. I kind of liked her arc. I don't know. I feel like this is it's also a movie that I went into thinking this was going to be the dumbest shit in the world, and it was. So what's happening? There was just a little bit of an echo. I don't know if you guys heard that or not. Moving on. But like the final sequence here at the race was so preposterous that like I was just cracking up. Like I wasn't taking it seriously. And the shark it's so CGI, so preposterous. Like this to me was like if The Shallows is like a lesser Jaws, this is like a lesser Deep Blue Sea to me, I guess. And I thought even though like there is this like environmentalist angle to it, I feel like it makes a mockery of that when the girl just gets eaten and she's just a dumbass like throughout the
She
course.
deserved to die.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was gripping enough to me. Like the story was fun enough that I could carry it, like follow along. I'll never watch it again. Maybe it should have been a 2, but we sit at 2.5, so I'll defend it.
Connor, take it away.
Yeah, Mika deserved to die. Fun fact. I stand on that. But this movie also just ripped off a bunch from like Deep Blue Sea as well. Like the shark jumping out of the water almost in the exact same fashion that the shark killed Samuel L. Jackson. It bothered me a lot that they just tried to like save their story by saying, like, oh, this is just a new species of shark and it can reproduce thousands of babies in like I don't know how much time. So that all was just fucking stupid. The one real big positive for me, which is why I have it rated higher than you, Stone, because on that I think we would feel pretty similar, is the fact that they show how bad shark finning is. And they like show the graphic footage of it because humans kill 80 to 100 million sharks per year.
Is that it?
Take it away, Stone.
Okay, so for anybody who hasn't watched Under Paris, this is a French movie on Netflix that you can watch right now. But if you don't care to watch it, then I totally understand because I'm about to spoil the whole bitch right now. Here's the thing, Dan. You say that yeah, there's serious. There's two serious messages that they're trying to get across in this movie. It's the fact that the ocean is being polluted, and as Connor just said, there is a finning sequence. I believe that's what the term is called, where they butcher sharks and for no good reason, just throw them back in the river or ocean, my bad, to drown. But then that is that is something that Deep Blue Sea does not have. They don't have a serious message like that, and they combine that with the stupidest story ever. And like you said, I don't know if they're making fun of activists. Like, why would they try to make that message go across, but have the people who are very much trying to get that problem out there just die in the most stupidest way possible? Like, what was the point? Are they? Am I trying to get taught something,
Can
or
I?
do they?
I can answer your question. I think.
Okay.
I think there's actually an interesting and like kind of nuanced thought process there, because I think a lot of the people. So like, take any issue in the world, right? Any person who cares about anything, you can your mind can be in the right place, right? And you can have a good heart and care about something. That's different than actually being in that situation where you have to do something. And your like naivete, I think, can get exposed when you're actually in it. Like, you know, it's there's a lot of analogies going through my head that I don't want to use. Say you're against one side of a war, and you're very vocal about it and you protest it and all. If you were put into that war zone to fight against that side of the war, you wouldn't last for 10 seconds. So like, there's a difference between being an activist and actually being someone who can be somewhere and physically make a difference and handle whatever it is you're speaking on. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And I think you can acknowledge both sides of that.
I just wish they didn't show. I guess they can still have the whole finning arc of this story without showing footage of it. If that is what they're trying to get across, I feel like there's such a serious tone when you actually show real footage, and then you just change it to the person who's an activist for this just getting destroyed and everybody around her. And then also, where did the plot about pollution go? I guess that is the Seine, is what the river is called in Paris. Is that it's being polluted? But like at the beginning of the story, there's so much trash everywhere. And is that what they're insinuating that made the shark go to Paris was trash? Like, why is it in Paris?
For the vibes.
So, okay,
The city of love, and it made babies.
Okay, did trash make it a new species?
I don't think you know how evolution works.
What the fuck? Well, I don't freaking know. Evolution. I don't know. Oh god. Okay. So I told you guys this. There for half the movie, there's this giant stupid plot point that I thought was going to get really tiresome if it was the whole movie, but turns out it should have been the whole movie. Is they have a tracker on the shark and they're constantly following the tracker. And there is a point where the little manipulator activists they turn it off for good reason as they think the police are going to kill the shark, which in fact they're not going to kill the shark. They just want it out of the fucking river, which is exactly what the activists want, but whatever. And then one of the people in that group, they call themselves the SOS. I forgot what that stood for. Saviors of the Sea. Sure, that sounds good. They turn it back on and they find the shark. But then, even when that big shark attack that we're talking about, when the activist dies, they're like, "Where the fuck is the shark?" They're always so curious, and as the movie goes on, They're like, she's not here yet. There's this whole sequence with all these sharks, because it can reproduce by itself. All these sharks are above it. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's not here yet. We have to stay. We have to stay. Turn on the fucking tracker that all you dumb idiots have that is fixed now, that is on this shark. Like, you established this so much, and then it's just completely abandoned, this plot line. Also, I don't understand, maybe it is the naivety, like you were saying, Dan. I don't understand why the activists are in a way against the police. Both of them want the same thing. They want the shark to get out of the river, both of them. And I also don't understand fucking much about this stupid movie. um there is this weird plot line where the girl who dies, the young activist, that's the only way I can describe her, I guess. I keep on using that term. But she thinks that she can communicate with the sharks. And our main character is like, what? You can communicate with the sharks? And she's like, yeah, I can. And it's this giant ball that sends out this sonar signal or something that calls the shark to them. Not really communicating, but sure, whatever. But then later in the movie, it seems like the lead character uses something very similar to that, even though she didn't believe that the young girl could do that. I guess maybe she learned from her and did the exact same thing.
No, they just reactivated the tracker, Stone.
No, they didn't. They
Yes,
should
they
have,
did.
but they did
They
not.
did. Yes, they did. She literally went to the girl and was like, "Oh, I can fix it," and then she's just like, "I fixed it." Yes, that's 1,000,000% what happened. For
Wait,
her.
Reactivate the tracker.
What are you
Yes.
talking about?
After she turns the tracker off, she fixes it.
I know that. Were you not listening to what I was saying? I wasn't talking about the tracker.
I thought I was following along.
No, I'm talking about the fact that this girl said she could communicate with the sharks, and she got this big old dumbass ball out that sent this signal that lured the sharks into their position. And our main character, when she's approached by this girl, the first time she's approached by this girl says, "I can communicate with the sharks." And our lead character goes, "What do you mean you can communicate with the sharks?" She goes, "I can, trust me." And that's what she means. She has this gigantic fat ball that sends out this tone or whatever. But then later in the film, when she is surrounded by all the thousands of sharks above her, she also uses this same device. It kind of looks like a disc, like a DJ disc station. She uses the like something, and it sends out a very similar signal. Like, it's like this doom, doom, doom. It sounds very similar to the ball that the activist girl had. So I'm not sure if the lead character copied what she did. She didn't believe that she could communicate with the sharks, and that was never elaborated on. I don't know. It seems like the lead
Don't,
was.
I can't lie. I think you thought about this way too much, brother. I got to be 100% real with you.
He's also not
This is not a
communicating with
movie
the
to think
sharks.
about for 25 seconds. This is dumb as fuck.
Okay, so the one's an activist, the one is a scientist. So, yeah, her device that she made would be good for attracting sharks. So that's probably where the scientist used it later on.
I guess. I don't know. Also, when she, it's the funniest fucking thing in the world. When the first main death happens with, again, I'm going to say it. I hate that I keep on saying this term. What is the girl's name? Mika. When Mika dies, the activist, right? It's the funniest thing in the world. And I agree, this is really cartoonish. But like I said, I don't think this film establishes that tone with the deep messages it's trying to get across. As soon as she is launched out of the water, the shark grabs her and pulls her in. The shakiest editing in like the span of 2 seconds happens, then everyone in this fucking place somehow falls in the water. Everyone,
Hilarious.
everyone just collapses in the water. I was like, and there's like ledges that they were standing on, and I was like, what just happened here? And I love how the pandemonium, and this happens at the end with the swimming race as well. When all this shit hits the fan, everyone just pushes each other in the water. I think it's the funniest thing in the world.
Did you see like how they kind of stole how Mika died though, and like Samuel L. Jackson in Deep Blue Sea, that the second shark came along and just ripped them both in half?
Yeah, I feel like you can only do so many melee attacks when it comes to sharks. Just ripping and jumping out of the water.
Yeah, actually, I completely forgot to bring that up. That's what bothers me about Deep Blue Sea and this movie, even though they claim this is a mako shark, but then it's like a new species, whatever. Mako sharks are like very solo hunters. It is rare to see two mako sharks.
You ever seen
Yeah.
1,000?
It's not a Mako Shark, Dan.
Also, really quick, the one I think slightly more interesting thing about this movie is I think this also probably makes a lot more sense to the French and is a much more like personal movie to the French because of what's happening right now in France. Because Macron has put like almost $2 billion into the Seine to try, because they want people swimming in it in the Olympics this summer. And apparently the river's just like toxic as fuck. But it's been like that forever. And they now have decided to put $2 billion into the river for the Olympics. So the French people are very upset. So upset.
I know where you're going with this.
So upset. Macron basically had said in June, after all this work, he was going to go swim in the river to prove it was clean. So there was a movement online in France for everyone to go shit in the river the day before he did that to make it a less pleasant experience for him. But apparently, like, there's all kinds of like E. coli in the Seine and like all this shit. So like, it is a hot topic, and I think like there
I
was
definitely
a
think
good
if we were French, this movie would have hit more.
yeah, for sure. And I think there was a good bit of commentary on just like, you know, the level of not caring that their politicians have, and like with their mayor as a stand-in for like probably Macron and everyone else. A, either not caring about it until the event, and then B, the way they've just ignored the actual situation around the quality of the water and just said, nah, we're going to push forward. It's fine. So it's almost like this absurd shark movie is like a stand-in for the actual quality of the river, which is created by pollution and toxicity and all the shit that the movie does deal with. So like when you think about it from their perspective, I do get it, and you can make it as like a joke, like a goofy ass movie. But I think if we were French, it might mean a little more.
I also, if that is definitely an angle that they're trying to go for, and like I said, I think there's too many things that they might be trying to go for in this movie, and they should have just picked a lane. To be honest.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I don't think the performances were bad. That's one thing that I don't think any of the actors were like awful.
I was gonna say, I think the lead cop did well.
Yeah, and I mean, I like I said, I like the woman that was in the lead. I thought she was good.
All right, you guys might have convinced me that it's a 1 out of 5 stars. I will say something that's funny is there's a scene where the cop Adil and Sophia, I'm trying to like use better terms than lead character and activist and cop. Sophia and Adil are like talking at this bar together, and she's like, "Hey man, we gotta like help out the people in the river, the swimmers." And he's like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And then he like tells this whole story about him being in the military and not like being a chicken and not helping his fellow army men or whatever. And then after that, he just goes, "Okay, so what are we gonna do?" I was like, "All right, well, you told your whole backstory and that just changed your mind. All right, I guess that could work." But I was like, there was no
Zack Snyder level exposition dump there.
yeah, there was zero talk between them. It was like, "I'm not gonna help. Here's my backstory," and then he goes, "Okay, what are we gonna do?" It's like, "Oh, okay, I guess that's all I needed."
You thought it over.
Hey guys, my wife just texted me. We have breaking news. Margot Robbie is pregnant.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw a lot of boys crying on Twitter about that.
That's nice.
Good for her.
Congrats, Margot.
Thanks for being a listener of one of our 79 subscribers on YouTube. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
93 on Spotify.
There we go. But yeah, Under Paris. Do you think people should seek this out as one of your guys' favorite films of 2024?
I think if you want something goofy as like a one-time watch, it's I'd prefer this to a large percentage of Netflix movies I've watched this year. Like I would prefer this to something like Unfrosted. It's better than Rebel Moon. I'm assuming it's better than that fucking Trigger Warning movie. It's better than Atlas. So like if you're gonna watch that stuff, go ahead and watch this. It's better than that. So that's what I would say.
Don't take it seriously. If it talks about finning is a serious problem, but do not act like it's a serious problem in this movie. Do not take the pollution that seriously, unless you're from France. Just people are gonna fall into the water unprovoked. They're just gonna do it because it looks fun. People are getting ripped to shreds, and they're like, "Hey, that looks like a good time." They just jump in. That's just how this movie works. So go into it with that mindset.
I'll compare it to more shark movies. I think it has more rewatch value on shark movies than others for me.
I've watched a total of 4. The
Shark
ones we're talking, the ones we're talking about. So,
Stone, do you want to have a really good time with a not so great movie?
yes. If I know going into it that it's purposely dumb. What?
Watch Shark Night 3D.
Okay.
Or have you seen Sharknado or any of the like 8 Sharknado movies?
I've seen all 7.
Oh my god.
My bad, I was off by 1. They're fun.
Shark Night.
Yeah, those are funny, and it's just funny how many random celebrities they get in it.
Yeah, they're having a good time with those.
Yeah, but Stone, Shark Night 3D is basically just a bunch of college kids. I think they're on spring break, and they rent out this house in freshwater. So they think they're safe, and then there's these crazy guys who want to get on Shark Week, so they just drop in all these sharks into the lake and they hunt down these college kids. It's a fun time. It's not a good movie.
Sounds good. I didn't have that much fun watching Under Paris.
You'll have more
We
fun.
know.
I did have fun watching Deep Blue Sea. I don't know, man. I don't take every movie that seriously. Like I said, I got my issues, but it might be a 1-star now.
I will say I enjoyed this set of movies a good bit. Like it was fun to watch them. Definitely didn't feel like work rewatching these, so I enjoyed it a good bit.
How do you guys rank all 4? Are we all kind of in the order we went? Jaws, Deep Blue Sea, Shallows, Under Paris?
Yeah, I just have Jaws and Deep Blue Sea tied, but outside of that, yeah.
That's valid. I mean, that's pretty valid. Like, I think Jaws is not that significantly better. I do think it's better, but I'm not surprised. I mean, people love
every shark movie will forever chase the greatness of Jaws.
Yeah.
Deep Blue Sea didn't try to. That's what I love. It's like we're gonna do our own thing and we're gonna think of the stupidest idea we could. And we're gonna have the thing is that's so fitting for it too, is you can look at the fact that it's 1999 when it was made and that the CGI looks shitty, but it really fits the tone of what the movie's trying to go for.
Yeah.
Did you guys know it's a trilogy?
Huh?
Yes.
Did you know it's a trilogy, Stone?
Yeah, I actually did know that. I don't necessarily think that LL Cool J, unfortunately, is in every single one, which is a travesty.
I chose not to even watch them. I probably should, but the second one didn't even come out till 2018, and then the third one came out in 2020. And I've seen clips of both, and it looks atrocious.
Are there any recurring characters? Because that'd be fantastic.
Like, okay, no. So the average ranking of Deep Blue Sea 2 on Letterboxd is a 1.7.
That's impressive.
And the average of Deep Blue Sea 3 is a 2.3.
That's a little better. 1.7 is like Deep Blue Sea 2 has a 3.5 on IMDb. That's something. That's very, very fucking low. But yeah. All in all, fun movies.
Yeah. So we talked about Under Paris 2024. It is halfway through the year. Over halfway. Connor, do you have a list of how many 2024 movies you've watched this year? If people don't know, Connor has a young child now, so he has not been able to go to the theater recently as of late. So
yeah, Connor, you don't have to tell us the number. Just give us your 5.
Hey guys, I'm not afraid to share my number.
I've watched
it's a perfectly big enough number if you ask me. I think I'm at. I actually checked it earlier. I'm at 10.
That's fine.
What's the top 5?
Un moment. Top 5 right now for me is going to be Dune 2 at 1. Challengers probably at 2. Oh, I'm actually going to revoke this and say 9 because Letterboxd counted me as putting Quiet on Set here as a movie, unless we want to count that.
Sure, it's a documentary.
Okay, yeah, Quiet on Set then will be my number 2. Challengers at 3. Then probably Immaculate. And just because I had so much fun with it, Dan can hate me all he wants, I'm going to say Roadhouse.
As long as Under Paris isn't on there, I'm fine with it.
I was actually about to, if you want a real list, I would probably say Idea of You instead of Roadhouse.
Okay. What's yours?
Makes Dan a little bit happier.
Yes, much happier.
I've watched 42 2024 movies. And my fifth is Hitman, fourth is Furiosa, three is Longlegs, two is Challengers, and number one is Doom Part 2.
Nice. I have fifth would be Planet of the Apes. Four would be Challengers. Three would be Furiosa. Second would be Love Lies Bleeding, and first would be Dune Part 2.
Damn, Love Lies Bleeding that high.
I wanted to see that movie so bad.
Have you?
I want to see that movie so bad. Love Lies Bleeding.
Check it out. I really like it.
It should be coming on Max, I believe, very soon, because I know Problemista came out on Max not too long ago, and I finally got to watch it, and that was a 2024 release as well. And then Love Lies Bleeding came out right after that, so it should be coming on Max very soon. Let's see here.
You can rent it right now on Prime.
Wait, is it on Max already?
No, you can rent it on Prime or like Apple TV.
Oh, coming soon. It is coming soon. That's all it says. I wasn't wrong though. I wasn't wrong. That's cool though. That's a cool. I feel like a lot of people don't have it that high. Real admirable.
Yeah,
I have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, my number 6. So I'm really close with you on that.
Yeah, then I would go Exuma. Well, I guess 4 stars are Exuma, Inside Out 2, Bad Boys, Civil War, Monkey Man, Spaceman, and Lisa Frankenstein. And then 3.5 is Kinds of Kindness, Ungentlemanly Warfare, Kung Fu Panda 4, Drive Away Dolls. And then everything else is 3 or below.
You hated Ungentlemanly Warfare.
No, I liked it. I don't think Stone liked it very much.
Okay, I just got you two mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are your 5 worst movies of the year, Dan?
Oh my God, bro.
I'll get mine first.
Okay.
I have the Garfield movie. This is not my bottom. The Garfield movie, Imaginary, Rebel Moon Part 2, Madam Web, and a little movie called Under Paris.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 movies at 1.5 star or less. So,
Brother, you just sent out a cry talking about, guys, we shouldn't watch these shitty movies anymore because they keep on making
you want to know why? Because I've been fucking burned. Because I'm in the toilet right now after watching this shit. Also, a bunch of them weren't these aren't all Netflix movies. Like, I have Maxine at 1.5 star. I have In a Violent Nature at 1.5 star. If is 1 star. Ghostbusters 1 star. Strangers 0.5 star. Miller's Girl 0.5 star. The 5 worst would probably be Lift, the Netflix movie. Unfrosted,
Netflix movie.
The Strangers, Mean Girls, and I guess Madam Web. No, not Madam Web. Fucking Roadhouse. I'm just gonna go Roadhouse.
I can give you guys 4 from what I've seen that I rated horribly, and that would be Ricky Stenicki, Underdogs, Argyle, and Madam Web.
Okay.
But I think it's been a pretty solid year for movies, to be honest. I think a lot of people don't think that, but I have a lot of movies. I have probably 4 movies or 5 movies out of 4 stars, 4 out of 5 stars, and those are solid movies for me. I have probably 20 movies almost above average. I was entertained 20 times in the theaters this year.
Also, this doesn't count Hitman and Bike Riders. I gave both 4.5 stars, and that's listed as 2023. So, I mean, they're 2024 releases. I don't give a shit about anything except when it's out in the theater. So I guess I have to count.
Did you say Civil War?
No, I Bike Riders and
Hitman.
Hitman. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was saying, was Civil War on your list?
Yeah, it's at 4 stars. It's
Okay.
with Exuma, Inside Out, Bad Boys, Monkey Man, Lisa Frankenstein, and Spaceman.
Good. So if you could recommend one movie for Connor that he hasn't watched, because we listen to all the movies that he's watched. I guess it would be what? Furiosa?
For Connor, it would be Love Lies Bleeding.
Oh yeah, because your Love Lies Bleeding at number 2.
Yeah.
But I guess my movie for everyone to watch is a good segue for our episode next week. But finally, Long Legs is coming out, and I hope it doesn't let a lot of people down. I think it's still Dan. I feel like you have the loudest keyboard. I know that this website doesn't mean anything. Please look up what it's rated on Rotten Tomatoes currently.
I'll type really, really slowly and quietly. Ready?
No. No, because I feel like it's so much impactful when you do it. I think we're still sitting at 100%.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, so
Some asshole will ruin that just to make a point at some point, but
It's gonna be me.
it's Dan.
no, 0%.
But yeah, I think I recommended it a couple weeks ago, but I recommend to you guys maybe too, or Dan, because you're gonna watch it. But I know that Connor, you're not gonna be able to. But have you watched The Black Coat's Daughter, Dan?
No,
The Black Coat's Daughter, yeah. I think that's on Max, I believe, is where I watched it. I feel like that very much gets you in the mood for Oz Perkins filmmaking.
I almost watched it the other day because I know you talked about it, but
Yeah.
I still need to watch it.
Yeah, I feel like he's very good at creating atmosphere. I just think the story in Log Legs is a lot better than the story in The Black Coat's Daughter. But then he also made Hansel and Gretel, which I know
I've
a
seen
lot
that.
of people. You have seen that?
It's fine. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't necessarily enjoy it. But I feel like this is one of the big movies. We're about to have a lot of really solid, anticipated movies finally coming out with like this and Twisters and Deadpool and Alien. I mean, I'm pumped for the rest of the year. Number one most anticipated movie you're looking forward to, Connor? The rest of the year.
Probably Deadpool, if I'm being honest with you.
Nice.
I'll be basic, but I love, the first Deadpool at least.
Also, it was Gretel and Hansel Stone, not Hansel and Gretel.
Sorry. I think me and yours is probably the same, Dan. Is it Nosferatu? Is it Long Legs?
It's I feel like I just know Long Legs is going to be good. I feel like there's more of an air of like mystery to Nosferatu in terms of like, and just it being farther away. I feel like I'd rather say that. I just saw the trailer last night. It looks so fucking sick. Like it looks so sick. And I'm such a big fan of Eggers. It's probably Nosferatu. Yeah.
I don't know how I missed this, but did you guys know there was a shark movie that released this year that's not under Paris?
What is it called?
No Way Up. Trapped underwater, when their plane crashes into the ocean, survivors must find a way to escape as sharks start to circle the wreckage.
Okay, that sounds exactly like the dude from Deep Blue Sea's movie that he has coming out. Their plane crashes and sharks come.
Yeah.
Oh, Colm Meaney is in this. He's a good Irish actor, but it's supposed to be absolute poop, looks like.
Yeah, 4.6 out of 10 IMDb. I'll watch it for you guys. I'll let you know.
Please do. I'll if it's funny, I'll watch it.
I thought he was about to say he's going to pay you. Like, I'll pay you.
No.
Yeah, if it's purposely funny, I don't want any story about the world being polluted. I don't want nothing about thinning.
That shit's important.
It's important, but not in that. I feel like people don't take it as seriously if it's in a movie like that.
Stone really likes Under Paris, guys. Spread the word.
Yeah. Anyways, we have instructed people today how to make a good shark movie based on our perspectives.
Yeah.
If you want any shark advice, I'm open, guys. For anyone who's thinking about getting into filmmaking.
Yeah, but yeah, next week we're going to be talking about not only Long Legs but also Nick Cage's horror filmography. Which is he your favorite actor, Dan?
Yeah, I think so.
So, after watching, I've only watched 2 films in order to prepare myself so far that would have been horror and Nick Cage-esque. I will say lots of screaming, lots of really good screaming from my guy. He knows how to just get his emotions out there loud and proud.
Who's your favorite actor, Stone?
Mine's probably Ryan Gosling, I would say.
Yeah.
Him and Tilda Swinton.
We have this conversation every like 4 episodes.
It's okay. It just solidifies it. I do like Nick Cage, though. I will say, I do like him a lot.
I've
And
seen National Treasure. He's good in that.
America, July 4th. Speaking of which, I hope everyone had a really good July 4th holiday weekend. I hope you didn't get bitten by any sharks or your fingers blown off by any fireworks. But watch Shark Week this week on Discovery Channel. Don't watch it after 6 p.m. because it's just going to be shark attacks people propaganda, and we don't support that here on Goodwill Podcasting. We support sharks just being curious and just nudging you with their teeth, not going after you purposely.
And if you want more fun shark content, I have currently 23 videos saved in my TikTok drafts that will be posted this week.
Damn.
Oh shit!
Let's go,
Smart.
Connor.
Jeez.
About to have a big week.
I got Taylor asked me to stay up last night to take the like midnight feed, and I had nothing to do. I was bored, so I just sat there and recorded TikToks for like 2 hours.
Nice. Can't wait.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that though. Movie Shark. Movie Shark's going to talk for 5 minutes, even more about Deep Blue Sea than we talked about today. Post that tomorrow. But appreciate everyone listening to us talk about our favorite things in the world today, movies. This week, please go outside, touch some grass, sit on a park bench, and we'll see you next week to talk about Long Legs and Nick Cage. Peace, everybody.